Okay guys, section 2, solving radical equations. Remember, your goal here is to get the radical by itself so that you can square both sides and get rid of it. The first two are pretty basic. Let's go to letter C. Now in letter C, I want to get that square root of x minus 1 all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract my 4. It gives me 3 square root x minus 1 equals negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and divide the 3 over. So square root x minus 1 equals negative 1. I'm ready to square both sides. Now remember, squaring a negative number, negative times a negative makes it positive. So x minus 1 equals 1. Add the 1 over, and x equals 2. Now the important thing is when solving radical equations is to check your answers. What happens if I put 2 back in there? Is 3 times the square root of 2 minus 1 plus 4 equal to 1? Question. So that would be 3 times the square root of 1, which is 1. So is 3 times 1 plus 4 equal to 1? No, it's not. So what does that tell me about x equals 2? That tells me that 2 is an extraneous solution. Can't fit it. And it doesn't actually work. Now, could you have told that from anywhere else in the equation? You should have been able to. Remember, anytime you have a square root equaling something negative, stop. It's not going to work. Go ahead and say no solutions for that equation. So no solutions. Letter D, you're ready to square both sides. So square both sides, solve for x. Letter E, you want to add that square root of x minus 7 to the other side of the equation before you square it. So please do that and then square both sides. I want to look at letter F. I'm going to have to erase some stuff here to get to it. So letter F. Solving for the x. Again, first thing I want to do is isolate that radical. So I'm going to add the x to the other side. So square root of x plus 2 equals x plus 2. Now that that radical is by itself, we're ready to square both sides. I'm going to put that in parentheses and square it. So left side just becomes x plus 2. The right side, if you need to, write it out twice and then do your distributing. So x times x is x squared. I'm going to have an x times a 2 and then another x times a 2. So there's a 4x. And then 2 times 2 makes 4. Okay? Now because we have a quadratic, I want to get everything on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract the x, subtract the 2. That gives me x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. And now we check to see if it can factor. First, there's no GCF, so I don't have to worry about it. But now let's do the ACB method. So AC becomes 2, B is 3. Is there anything that multiplies to be 2 that adds to be 3? Yeah, 2 and 1. So I'm going to write x plus 2, x plus 1 equals 0, which tells me x equals negative 2 and negative 1. Now again, I want to check my answers. Just because they're negative doesn't mean I have to rule them out. So let's check with each of those values. So square root of, if I put negative 2 in, square root of negative 2 plus 2 minus negative 2, does that equal 2? Lots of 2's. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. If I subtract negative 2, that's adding it. Does that equal 2? Yes, it does. So even though it's negative, negative 2 works. How about negative 1? So does the square root of negative 1 plus 2 minus negative 1, does that equal 2? So negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Square root of 1 minus negative changes to plus. Is that true? That's just 1 plus 1 equals 2. So yeah, it looks like both of those work in our equation. So both of those solutions for x are solutions for the equation.